Good evening and welcome, sim racing fans across the globe. We're going to come to you live tonight from the Charlotte Motor Speedway in Concord, North Carolina. We're going to bring you the OCRL Sprint Cup Series All-Star Race, and 13 special drivers have qualified for tonight's event for a 4-segment show. And I got to say, guys, it's certainly interesting. I mean, we know some of these drivers here. Randall Falks, iRacing.com Beat Car Series champion from 2014, and I know he's done very well here in the past years in all the cars, whether it's A car, B car, short track stuff, guys. And let's go around and introduce ourselves. My name is Justin Rose. Now, joining me tonight in the Inside Sim Racing Broadcast Tower, Brian Macklin along with us, and Gabe Wood. Gabe, these guys here in practice, they're turning good laps, but 13 cars, and some of these tire strategies really going to come into play with how these segments are going to work.
Yeah, you got to remember this is an all-star type event, so you can only change tires at certain points in the event tonight. But a lot of these guys, they're going to change up the strategy, try and do something different from the guys around them. We got qualifying now, and let's see if these close times can keep up. We had guys within about 2/10 of each other throughout the top 10, so it's going to be a very, very close field.
And I'm going to throw it over to you, Brian. You're the specialist for the A car, and I got to tell you what, Brian. I know for a fact that when it comes to the A car, these guys, Charlotte, it's a really tricky track. I mean, the older surface, a little bit more character in the track, especially once these tires wear down with the new low downforce package. What's really going to show, especially for somebody that's driven these cars?
Well, this is going to be a very exciting race just for the sole fact that it is an all-star race. It's a non-points event. It's just go out there and try to get the win and do everything you can to get the win all night long. I really like the way that they have this set up where in the first segment they're not going to be allowed to come in and get tires. That's really going to make these drivers have to work hard in that first segment to try to manage their tires and make sure that they still have some left at the end of the run. This track can be very treacherous once the tires start to fall off. You're really going to have to try to manage them as the best that you can throughout the entire first segment and try not to overdrive the car at all, because if you do, you could end up at the very back by the time we get to the end of this first segment, and that's not where you want to be. You want to be up front trying to battle for the lead.
Qualifying underway on the racetrack right now. Solo car qualifying on the track right now, completing his lap, going up to the top of the board, the 17 of Scott X. 27.479 seconds around this 1.5-mile speedway. And next car up on track, guys. Gabe, take us through the rundown here. The next guy up on track, what's his car and where is he coming from?
Well, he's going to have to watch the entry into turn 1 off of his one only qualifying lap. Is you got to think going into turn number 1, there's that huge that it's kind of a little bump here. We see it just now with the 17 up into the wall, hard hit. Now we got the 00 coming out on track. Let's see what's going to happen. As Jesus Andrade, he's going to go out here in this 00 Monster Energy Ford Fusion. He's going to run the top side of the racetrack for that first lap around, get as much speed as he can coming off of turn 4 to take the green flag. That turn 1 entry, that's really a make or break point, because if you drive it in hard and make it work, you're going to have a good lap. If you drive it in hard, but you end up, unloading the car, it'll spin around like we just saw in turn number 1 with the 17. It's going to end up spelling doom for your lap. And here he comes to the start-finish line. This time he's going to cross the line at 178 miles an hour, closing in on 205 as they go into turn number 1. He's going to dive it low to the bottom side, gets it good little rotation there going into turn number 2. He's going to glide it up next to the wall, And Justin, he's got a good lap going here. We should see him jump to the top of the board or close to it.
Through turns 3 and 4, he's got 2 laps to make his best time. Lap number 1, probably going to be the best time of the night as he comes off of turn 4, goes through the dog legs here, comes across the start-finish line. It's going to be good enough for second quick, 27.61 with an 8 for Jesus Andrade as he goes through and loses the handle on the race car in turns 1 and 2, and that's kind of a surprise, guys. He ran a 27.49 in practice and just flat missed it there in the qualifying.
And the next car on track now is the number 99 of Thomas Morris. He's pulling out onto the racetrack. And if you look at the practice speeds, he was only 9th fastest in practice, but he was 800ths off of the fastest lap time in that practice. So he's got a very fast race car, and if he can back that time up, he could put himself in position. He ran a 27.48, and the fast time so far here in this qualifying session is a 47. So if he can just pick up just a hair off of what he ran in practice, he could take the pole. He's coming to the green flag now. As you said, Gabe, the fast lap is going to be on the first lap. You really can't do anything on the second lap once the tires fall off, and I don't really know. It looks like he got around turns 1 and 2 pretty good. He's going to work down the back straightaway and see if he can't get a good run through 3 and 4.
Going down the back straightaway, he's going to try to sail it right down deep into the corner. Try to diamond that corner off the driver, the Gigabyte Ford Fusion. That's going to be the 99 of Thomas Morris. Going to come across the start-finish line and through the double dog legs. He's going to jump all the way up to the second spot, 27.52 for the driver of the Gigabyte Ford and the 99 of Thomas Morris. He's still on the hammer. He might try to pull it off, and he is done. Then the next driver going to come up on track, and that looks like it will be the 77 of Corey Bunch.
Now let's watch here, guys. I mean, we've got 4 drivers that have taken time so far in the qualifying. This is going to be our 5th driver, the 77 of Corey Bunch and that Pennzoil Platinum Ford Fusion. Let's see what's going to happen here, because we've had 2 guys back up their times from practice, and then we've had 2 guys absolutely lose maybe about 2 or 3 tenths. So the 00 and the 78 did not improve on their time, and in fact, they were a lot worse off in qualifying than practice. And the 17 and 99 pretty much picked up their time. The 17 improved on his qualifying time with a 27.479. So he's your provisional pole sitter. 77 of Corey Bunch comes across the line, goes into turn number 1. Let's see what's going to happen this time. He's going to keep it right there on the bottom side of the racetrack. So that's a good line. He gets a little bit squirrely there. Oh, up into the wall. Coming off of turn number 2. See if he's going to go around and just complete this one lap. He's going to shut it off.
Next car to come out on the track to take time will be the driver, the Budweiser Chevrolet, the number 4 of Jeff Davis. And Davis is going to have to come up to the gearbox quite strong. You know, he ran a 27.46 at times, very tight in practice. In fact, 2 drivers ran a 27.405 second lap in practice, and that's really going to spell a little bit of effort. These guys are going to have to dig deep, like you said, Brian, and really have to push to try to get everything they can out of these race cars. And Brian, go ahead and take us through Jeff Davis's qualifying lap.
And he's coming to the green flag right now. He got up to speed really nicely, 197 miles an hour at the line, and as they go off into turn 1, he's going to get up to 203 miles an hour. He's going to need to get through the corner very solid if he's going to be able to back up his lap time. The problem with here in qualifying is you only get 1 shot at it. In practice, you can go out there and try as many times as you want during the allotted time, but in qualifying, you get 1 shot. So if he doesn't hit this perfect right here, he's not going to get the lap. Looks like he's got a lot of speed carrying out of turn 4, and as he comes to the line, we're going to see where he's going to end up. He's going to run a 27.64. That is going to put him 4th overall in this qualifying session. So he lost just under 2 tenths on that lap there, and just another one of those deals where he just didn't get through turns 1 and 2 good, and it just hurt his lap.
Yeah, did not get through the corners very well. I noticed that he seemed a little tight down in 1 and 2, just drove it in maybe a little too deep, and basically ran the center of the corner. I think the fast guys are going to put it right down on that white line, and Gabe, the next driver on track, the driver of the Mountain Dew Chevrolet, the 88 of Jeff Packey Jr., he's going to be the next on track. He ran 6th in practice with a 27.452.
Here comes Junior coming around that 88 Mountain Dew Chevrolet. He's going to come off at turn number 4. He's going to start lap number 1 here. And one thing, I think these guys, like Brian said, you only get 1 lap during qualifying. You had as many as you wanted during the 1-hour practice just a few minutes ago. You could be a little brave going into turn number 1, and that's how we see these guys setting these fast lap times. you could run it over and over and over again until you got it right. This time, you've basically got one shot at doing it. Yes, you do have that second lap, but with the tire wear, like we've said before, it's going to be so much slower on that second lap. Let's see what Jeff Backey Jr. is going to do on lap number 1. He's going to go third provisionally with 27.526.
And he's going to shut it down. That's going to be it for the driver of the 88, the Mountain Dew Chevrolet of Jeff Backey Jr. Next driver on track. He's going to come right out of North Carolina, driving the Napa Auto Parts Chevrolet, driving the number 24. That's going to be Randall Falks in, again, the Napa Auto Parts Chevrolet.
And Randall Falks is trying to get this thing up to speed. He's taking his time down here in turns 1 and 2. He's getting up through the gears now as they come down the back straightaway. The other thing that I just thought about here that these guys are going to have to deal with is with the dynamic surface that iRacing has now for all these tracks, they're going to have a little bit of a rubbered up track and some temperature in this track compared to in the past where you would go out there and the track was just basically static. Right now, he's going out here on a track that has rubber and heat built up from the practice session. That could affect these guys' lap times as well. You see Randall Falks here coming off turn 2. He got a good run through turns 1 and 2. He was 5th fastest in the practice session, so he's got some speed in that car. Again, only about a half a tenth off the pole, and as he comes through turns 3 and 4, he gets right to the white line and comes off turn 4 to the line. Let's see where he stacks up with the rest of the competition. He's going to run a 27.30. He goes to P1. What an incredible lap for the 24 of Randall Falks.
Fastest lap of the night, picks it up by a tenth over the 55 of Christopher Munger in that was a provisional. That was a provisional. Sorry, Justin. I think I took your time there.
All I wanted to go was quick time. Driver the number 24, Napa Auto Parts Chevrolet goes to the top. 27.302. That's good enough for 191.374 miles an hour around the mile-and-a-half racetrack. And the next driver coming up on track, and he will be driving the number 33. That's going to be Thomas Fredericks.
Now, one thing, Brian, you said, these guys, they put rubber on the racetrack. One thing I wanted to say, the track does continuously heat up as more and more cars get on it. We had 13 cars running continuous laps for an hour. That could have heated the track and made it a little bit slick. Now, we've got guys running one at a time, and it should give the track a little bit of opportunity to cool off. And we should see some quicker times like we saw with the 24.
Oh, absolutely. That's a very good point. Now that this track is sat for a few minutes with just one car going around it at a time, it's going to allow this track to cool down. Thomas Fredericks is going to run a 27.52. That's going to put him P4 out of the 8 drivers that have went so far. But you're absolutely right. The longer this session goes, the more the track is going to cool down, which should allow for some grip, which, as we saw with Randall, is going to allow the track to really speed up. And you might see some of these guys that turn some of the faster laps, like Christopher Munger, who ran a 27.40, as well as Larry Scott Jr. Those two might actually be able to run quite a bit faster than we saw Randall run right there. And I believe Larry Scott, or I'm sorry, actually Shannon Segler is on track now. He's the next driver going to take a lap. And Justin, I love the look of that U.S. Army paint scheme. That's a really nice car.
Yep, that's a new scheme debuted here for the OCRL Sprint Cup Series All-Star race. Shannon Segler down from Alabama. He's going to bring his Alabama gang Chevrolet across the stripe. He's going to take the green flag here in the qualifying session, and man, he's got a lot of speed built up, almost 205 mile an hour going off into turn number 1. But one thing I noticed, and I gotta say something, guys, he looked like he just drove it in too deep, had saw on the wheel a good bit. I think this is going to be somewhere in the 25 or 27.55 range when he comes around, and through turns 3 and 4. And checkered flag basically going to be displayed in the air for Shannon Segler. Time is going to be 27.411. So, yeah, you're right, Brian. You just told me here over our little communication that it was going to be quicker. Not Randall Falks quick, but he's good enough for second quick.
Well, I was just watching his speed through the corner, and compared to some of the first guys that went out that were only hitting 179 and 180, all the way through the corner right there, Shannon was hitting 183, so he had quite a bit more speed being maintained through the corner. He was running a little bit of a higher groove than what we saw any of the other drivers running, so that was kind of interesting for me. We had seen everybody else try to get their cars right to the white line, but he actually kept that thing up in the middle groove, and now Larry Scott Jr., who was P2 in practice, he's going to take the green flag and see if he can't back up his lap time. If he can do that, it would actually only put him in second, so he's going to need to pick up a little bit over a tenth of a second if he's going to take the pole, and he's carrying a ton of momentum through the corner, and he's loose off turn 2, almost hits the wall, saves it. Not going to have a good lap here, but he does have a second lap where he can at least try to do something. It's going to be interesting to see if he takes that lap. He goes high in 3 and 4. He's going to try to build the momentum up, but the tires are probably already going to be shot. I don't expect him to have a shot at the pole now, Justin. I think that probably killed his chances.
Yeah, lap 1, 28.47 with a 4. Larry Scott Jr. with Endurance Formula, Gatorade, and Salute the Troops, Summit Racing Equipment alongside that machine. He's going to come off the back straightaway. He's going to go over 200 mile an hour again down into turn 204 mile an hour, going into turn number 3. He's hauling the mail on that machine. Coming off of turn 4 for the final time. Checkered flag in the air for the driver, the number 84, Larry Scott Jr. He will clock in with a 27.55. Quite an improvement. And I still got to say, guys, that's impressive considering how sideways that car was, especially on the first lap.
Now let's see what's going to happen here. Your final car to qualify, the 55 of Christopher Munger. He ran a 27.405. That's only good enough to get him second if he backs it up here in qualifying. That CM Landscaping Ford Fusion comes around the racetrack. He's going to try and get it woed up, or he's going to try and get it getting good here coming off of turn number 3 out of turn number 4. Let's see what's going to happen. I understand, I think the 18 did not go yet, but see if they're going to get him a qualifying time. But he's going to go across the start-finish line 198 miles an hour, so he's getting it good going into turn number 1. Let's see. He's going to stick it to that bottom. Everybody we've seen hit that bottom side of the racetrack has lost it coming up off of turn number 2, but he's going to keep a pretty tight little line, hang it up to the top side of the racetrack. He's going to have a good lap going here. It should be in the 25.4s, or 27.4s, I should say. 25.4, that's, but a 27.4. Let's see what's going to happen. He's going to lose it a little bit coming off of turn number 4.
No time for the driver of the 55, Christopher Munger, on that lap. He did indeed clip the wall there, and he's going to lose the handle in turn 1 and 2. He's going to get sideways, and that's pretty much going to do it for the driver of the CM Landscaping Ford Fusion. Christopher Munger going to take no time here in the qualifying session, which is really a shame because he was a very fast car in the practice session. And, man, I tell you what, guys, that was disappointing. He just seemed like he just had a little too much yaw in the car, especially going down into turn 1.
Yeah, that was just one of those deals where he got up off turn 4, just got a little too close to the wall. And in iRacing, if you hit the wall, if you make any contact with the wall, and a incident point shows up on your screen in qualifying, it disqualifies your lap, and that's what we saw happen there with Christopher Munger. I mean, that's up.
And we're going to take this time.
Gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocky o'er the
Welcome back, everybody, to the OCRL Sprint Cup Series All-Star Race, and we need to apologize for some weird technical difficulties that happened there, and we missed the entire first segment of the All-Star Race here. Shannon Segler in the U.S. Army Chevrolet, he took home the checkered flag in segment 1. Jeff Backey Jr. came home second, Christopher Munger in third. Lights are off on the pace car, getting ready to go in segment number 2. It's going to be 40 laps, and drivers have to make a pit stop between lap number 15 and 25. And Gabe, it's going to be interesting to see here. Several drivers already have damage on their vehicles, but we have to see what they can do with it.
Yeah, one of the fastest cars on the racetrack, 24's got that rear fender just all destroyed. He actually did a really good job of running that outside lane in that first segment. Ended up biting him toward the end when the tires wore out. But he's there. You got to remember, we had the caution here at the end of lap or segment number 1, but everybody did not take tires. They could not, and they will not until 15 laps into this segment. They are permitted to take tires. So that's going to be something to watch for here in segment number 2.
American Ethanol green flag back in the air here for segment number 2 in the All-Star Race here for the OCRL Sprint Cup Series. Shannon Segler going to break away. Jeff Backey Jr. going to pull through into second. The top 3 all single file. The 00 of Jesus Andrade. He missed the start in segment 1. He's battling up there for the 3rd spot. He's looking at the outside of the 55 of Christopher Munger, while the 33 of Thomas Fredericks in the Yangling Ford tries to drive through on the bottom.
And he's slowly starting to fall to the back here, as now he's got Randall Fox trying to look to the inside as they go off into turn 1. The 00 is not having the restart that he wanted. He's going to fall way behind the 24 of Randall Fox now as they work off turn 2. Out front, Shannon Segler still has about a 3-car length advantage. That's probably the biggest advantage that we've seen all night, Justin. While we were off the air, we were watching some of this action, and those guys were battling hard 2 and 3 wide, trying to take the lead and trying to see who was going to get out front and have the advantage. And right now, Shannon Segler has pulled out to about a 3.5 second advantage over Jeff Backey Jr. He's doing a really good job. He's running that middle groove through turns 1 and 2, really getting the momentum down the straightaway and carrying that speed all the way down to turn 3.
Gap is around 4 car lengths for the driver of the U.S. Army Chevrolet over his teammate in the 88, the Mountain Dew Chevrolet of Jeff Backey Jr. Those 2 drivers from Junior Motorsports here in the OCRL. Right behind them, the driver was quickest in practice and just flat missed it in qualifying, the 55 of Christopher Munger. He's riding 3rd in the CM Landscaping Ford. Randall Falks riding solidly back up into the top 4. He did lead about the first 15, 18 or so laps. And what really kind of throws a big monkey wrench is what really needs to be seen, Gabe, is around lap 15, those tires started falling away. That's when we really started to see a lot of that side-by-side action we were watching throughout segment 1. And with the pit stop being coming into play around that mark, are we really going to see a whole bunch of that, or guys who's going to ride it out, get to their pit stops, and then go racing for the final 25 laps or so?
Well, it's all going to be depending on who pits when, because it's not a caution flag pit stop. It's going to be between laps 15 of this segment and 25 of this segment. So, on the lap counter, it's going to be lap 50, I believe. So, lap 50 to lap, 75 or so. So, these guys are going to have to kind of work out their strategy and try and figure it out. But that's going to be a real determining factor. The 15 laps between the pit stop and that point when the tires start wearing out, that's going to be some really good racing if the guys are close enough. Now,
and that's really going to open up somewhere in around the lap 45 to 55 mark here on our board as well. And I really have to say, as far as that goes, got a battle shaping up on track for the 3rd spot. The driver of the Napa Auto Parts Chevrolet, Randall Falks. He wants the 3rd spot, and the 55 of Christopher Munger, he's determined not to let that happen.
Yeah, doing a very good battle right there for 3rd position. Christopher Munger trying to hold off Randall Fox back there right behind him. He is trying to move up the track. You see going off into turns 3 and 4. He moved up going into the corner, then took it right to the white line to try to get that momentum off the banking. He's got a good run down the front straightaway. Here he comes to the inside of the 55 of Christopher Munger. Looks like the 55 is going to let him go very easily. The 24 of Randall Fox moves into that 3rd position. Immediately he moves up to that middle groove once again. I've really seen that as a common theme with the 24 tonight. He's been wanting to run that middle or high groove all night long. It almost almost bit him a couple of times during the first segment. I think he actually did get up against the wall once, but he was very fortunate not to have tore that car up any more than he did. But I really think he likes that high groove and certainly seems to be able to carry that momentum down the straightaway from it.
Almost had ourselves a bit of an incident there. The driver of the 00 Monster Energy Ford, Jesus Andrade, almost got into the side of the driver of the number 33 Yangling Ford. That's going to be Thomas Fredericks. He just lost the fifth spot to the driver of the 77, the Pennzoil Platinum Ford of Corey Bunch. He stuck his nose up around the outside of the 00 Jesus, and right behind them, the driver of the Budweiser Chevrolet, Jeff Davis. He's slowly creeping his way back up into this battle. But from fourth on back, that's the driver of the 55 machine of Chris Munger, and on back, they're all nose to tail as everybody's pretty much strung out single file as the pit window has looked like it is going to be open here in just a lap or so. Going to be between laps 15 and 25. These drivers have to come down and make a green flag pit stop, 4 tires.
Yeah, Justin, we had the 5-lap caution, so it's going to be lap 50 when they come onto pit road, I do believe, but they could have interpreted it just a little bit.
Excuse me and my Jacob math there. Again, that will be lap 50. So 5 laps until the pit window opens as we put 10 laps into this 40-lap segment here. The drivers going back and forth. The driver of the 77, Corey Bunch, he's looking to the inside of Thomas Fredericks there for the 4th spot. He's looking there, got a little bit arrow loose there, and that's what we're seeing here. The drivers working to the inside of these machines. They'll get that air stacked back up on their spoiler or lifted right off, and it'll just kind of suck them right around as Bunch works to the inside quarter panel of Fredericks. Not going to get it done. Just does not have the momentum, but here comes the 00 of Jesus Andrade.
While that battle is going on, the battle up front is starting to close up. Jeff Backey Jr. has closed this gap down from about a half a second to just under 0.3 of a second, but he had a very bad turns 3 and 4. It's going to cost him about 0.2 right there. He was starting to close the gap on his teammate Shannon Segler, had gotten within about 3 car lengths of him, but got very loose down in turns 3 and 4 and lost that momentum and lost a bunch of time, but he was really starting to catch up to him, and looks like he's got the advantage for the long run. We have a battle for third now as Randall Fox is up on the outside line. Looks like he's going to let the 55 go. We saw these two trade positions about 5 laps ago. I believe Randall Fox may have used his tires up, and now here comes Christopher Munger. He moves into the 3rd position and is going to try to set his sights on the 88 of Jeff Backey Jr. He looks like he's got a lot of speed in that car right now. Ran a 28.77 to the leader's time of a 28.64, so still just a little bit off the leader, but has a very fast car right now.
Yeah, how about the driver of the 33, Thomas Fredericks? Looked like he pressed the eject button there for a moment to let the 77 a bunch go. The 00 of Andrade go right by, and then he crossed him over and just drove right back around him. And as we complete lap number 50 in the total books, it's going to be lap 15 here in segment 2, and the pit window will be officially open when the drivers cross the start-finish line, so that'll give them 10 laps for everybody to come down and make a full-service stop on these Cup cars. And as we see a battle for the 4th spot shape up, Corey Bunch goes wheel-to-wheel with Randall Fox. As Fox going to try to hold on to that ride as he's up on the top side on the double dog legs.
I tell you what, Corey Bunch has got a good car here late in the run. That 77 making a good run here at the top 5. Now, the question is, when do these guys pit? Do they take advantage of the short pit and pit here on this lap, or do they let it run a few laps, get as much tires out of the car? It looks like with a 55. Yeah, the 55 slow on the bottom side of the racetrack, and to see what happened to him, we're going to go 2 wide into turn number 3. 88 of Jeff Backey Jr. into the pits, and so does the 55 of Christopher Munger comes to pit road. A couple of guys going to try and pit here early on the pit entry.
Scott X, Cody McCauley, the 55 of Christopher Munger, and the 88 of Jeff Backey Jr. all coming down on the pit road. These drivers going to try to take the first opening, but that's going to leave them open here in the later segments to getting kind of run up on a little bit by the drivers still on the racetrack. As the first guy into the pit box will be the 55 of Munger. He's pitted back down pit road a little bit. He's going to get 4 full tires, a full tank of fuel. He's down and away already. He's going to get around the 88 Jeff Backey Jr., who had a slow stop. And the 4 of Jeff Davis as well, going to pass a couple of drivers in the pits. So Munger going to be up to the provisional 2nd spot when everybody comes back around for sure. We'll have to see what happens here as how these new tires are going to play up on the old tires. The 7 of Shannon Segler, your leader in the U.S. Army Chevrolet, he's going to come down and hit pit road.
Yeah, and joining him right behind him, Thomas Fredericks gets sideways coming into the corner. It looks like he got the car woed up and was able to get down below pit road speed, so he should not get a speeding penalty, but that was a very interesting entrance to pit road for the number 33 machine. Meanwhile, Shannon Segler is getting ready to hit his pit box. He gets ready to slide into his box, going to get 4 fresh tires and fuel, and he'll be down and away very, very momentarily. I'm very interested to see how this works out, guys, because in segment 3, these drivers are not allowed to pit, and if I understand that rule correctly, that means when the caution comes out to finish this segment 2, they're not going to be allowed to come to pit road to get tires. So when you pit in this segment could dictate how well you run in the 3rd segment, and it could set you up to have a very strong car when they get into segment 3. We do have a battle for the lead right now. Randall Fawkes and Corey Bunch, 2 of the drivers that have not come to pit road yet. They're battling side by side through 3 and 4 for the race lead. As they come off turn 4, Corey Bunch is going to take the lead, and he will lead what will be, I believe, lap 20 in this segment right now. So these guys are battling hard. They're the only 2 cars left on the lead lap as we run.
And it was almost big trouble there. The 77 of Corey Bunch just about took the nose off the Napa. Salute to Troops Auto Parts Chevrolet of Randall Fawkes. And Fawkes is not giving up. He's running the Dale Jr. line around here. He's right up against the outside retaining wall and right along that safer barrier, and basically about scraped it through turns 1 and 2 about 2 laps, maybe 3 laps ago, and he's starting to fall a little bit further back from Corey Bunch. But you have to wonder just how much longer are you willing to push if your car is ill handling. I mean, I know that there may be a good chance the drivers may not be able to pit after this segment, but it's almost like you're playing Russian roulette a little bit, especially if you get a fender down on one of these tires.
Yeah, but at least these guys are waiting till late in the pit sequence to pit.
It's 3rd, the 4th spot goes to the 61. So we're going to be somewhere around, I want to say, roughly 13, 14 to go here in second.
Up there, but he
He's going to be plus that by the time we come back to the start finish. Oh, in trouble almost. He's going to save it, but he's going to give up the 2nd spot. Jesus Andrade, he got wicked loose off of turn number 4.
Yeah, that was a very scary moment for the 00 right there. Very impressive that he was able to keep that car straight going through the grass and over the couple of little jumps that are there going across the Legends car track down there, but he did a good job hanging on to it. He's going to keep the 3rd position for the time being. He does have Jeff Backey Jr. right behind him, about a car length and a half off of him right now. Looks like there's a little bit of damage on the side of the 00 car. I believe he got up against the turn 4 wall, which is what sent him down into the grass there on the front stretch about a lap ago. But it doesn't seem to be hurting the car too much. He's doing a good job. Do want to take a second just to go back and look at the 24 of Randall Fawkes. When he came out from the pits, and actually we have a caution. The number 17 machine of Scott Ikes is around. Looks like he got loose off turn 2 and just was not able to hang on to it and spun it around, and we have a caution here in segment 2. This is going to change everything, guys.
And that's going to stack the field back up. That's not what Shannon Segler wanted to see, but if you're a driver like Randall Fawkes, you got... And for Randall Fawkes, that's going to be good for him. But the admin just reminded the drivers, folks, that you can come down pit road and get service. You just can't take any tires. That pit window has closed, and you are not allowed to put fresh Goodyear rubber on your race machine.
You're just going to have to watch if anybody makes the mistake of not checking their boxes and taking any sort of tires on this pit stop. Because if they do, that's going to be a severe penalty because of the advantage you're going to
terribly loose all night long, so maybe these guys are just very comfortable with their cars and don't want to come to pit road. The only time where this might be an issue is if we get into the final segment here. No caution laps will count during that segment, so if we have a mess of cautions, then this could come into play as far as who's going to be good on gas, so that could definitely play a factor into everything towards the end of this race. We'll have to keep an eye on that, but I'm really interested to see how the 24 fares now that these guys are all bunched back up and he's not going to be 8 seconds behind. He pitted at the very end of that pit window between laps 15 and 25 of this segment, so he's got the freshest tires by far. Most of these other guys pitted on the first couple of laps of that window. He's going to have about a 6 to 7 lap advantage over everybody else, and I was looking at the lap times. He was about a half a second quicker than everybody in front of him, so now that he's right there with them, I think he's going to probably power through this field, and he might actually win this segment here because he's going to have such a good an advantage over the rest of the field.
That very well may be the case, and we'll have to see for sure if you can take tires at the end of the segment or not. And if you're Shannon Segler, you have to be wondering with the guys that came in after you, are you really wondering, how about the 77 of Corey Bunch and the 24 Randall Falks? Those guys look like they could be in the catbird seat, and we all know chaos really happens on the restarts as guys can take it 3 wide if they want to. But if you got this many laps on your tires, is it a wise idea, Gabe, if you really want to be pushing the envelope that hard?
We got to remember, after this segment, we still got about 40 or so laps, so it's, I mean, yes, you end up making up those positions on the racetrack, but you end up destroying the tires that you're going to need for the final 2 segments. So I think these guys are just going to have to take it easy, play it smart, get the positions when they come to you, and just kind of get ready for the reset on lap 75.
And as the pace car still has its lights on, we hope to see him go off this time and get the field doubled up and get fired back off. But Brian, are you the least bit surprised somewhat that Shannon has pretty much made this segment more of an exhibition show of what he can do on the racetrack? Because he's basically just laid it on him here in this segment.
I'm really not, because with the pit stops falling the way they were set up, where you had to pit between laps 15 and 25 of this segment, that allows these drivers to run extremely hard in the first 15 laps because they know they're going to have to come to pit road within the next 10 laps after that. So he was able to go out there and run as hard as he wanted for that entire first stint, and then after it, he had the advantage of tires for a couple of laps before the rest of them started coming to pit road, so he was able to get the big lead over these guys and then was just able to maintain it from there. So I'm not surprised at all that Shannon Segler did as well as he has so far, but I think he's going to have his hands full in this next 5 laps because he's going to have a couple of guys with fresh tires behind him really trying to charge up through the field to try to win this segment.
It will be a 5-lap dash to the finish here in segment number 2. The American Childhood Cancer Organization pace car gets ready to make the hard left-hand turn to the safety of pit road. Field going to be in the hands of the U.S. Army Chevrolet of Shannon Segler, all the way down from Alabama. The 55 of Christopher Munger, he's going to be in to his outside. They pass through the American Ethanol restart zone, and the American Ethanol green flag going to be displayed once again to the 7 of Shannon Segler, and he's going to power away. That's going to allow the 55 of Munger to drop down. The 88 of Jeff Backey Jr., he's going to try to hang out there on the high side. And here comes the 4 of Jeff Davis and the 24 of Randall Falks. Falks going to get around the 77 of Corey Bunch, and Falks going to take it back to the high side. That's where he's made his lunch tonight, folks. He's going to stick it up there to the top side and try to get around the 88 of Jeff Backey and the rest of these guys here as they're all slicing and dicing through the double dog legs as we come around 4 laps to go.
I tell you what, that 24 has been the only one I've really seen work that outside lane, and looks like that 77 of Corey Bunch is seeing that, and he's going to go to the outside. Oh, 00 is going to be a little bit slow on the outside. That's going to hold up the 88 of Jeff Backey Jr., so that's going to be a 2-for-1 special on the back straightaway. Oh, contact going into turn number 3. A 00 on the wall.
Andrade going to get up into the outside retaining wall, going to catch a piece of that safer barrier, and that's going to move him back about 4 spots or so. He's going to go from the 3rd spot all the way back to the 6th spot is where he settles. 3 laps to go here in the segment. It's not all over, folks. Christopher Munger, he's right there. He's knocking on the door. He's trying to peek to the inside of Shannon Segler as they sail off towards turn 3.
Into turn 3, we're on board with the 55 of Christopher Munger, and when they come to the stripe right here, they're going to be coming to 2 laps to go. Here comes the 24 of Randall Fox with a big run on the outside. He's going to go to the outside of the 55. He's going to be less than half a second behind our race leader, Shannon Segler. He's going to have a lap and a half to do it when he comes off turn 2 with a big head of steam down the back straightaway. He should have no problems getting to the 7 as they work down into turns 3 and 4. I think you'll see him challenge him when they come off turn 4. The 7 is going to move up and start running that middle groove, trying to take the line away from the 24. Here they come to the white flag, and it looks like Randall Fox is going to have the momentum as they come to the stripe. He moves to the outside of the 7, and here we go into 1.
White flag in the air for the driver, the number 7, Shannon Segler, Randall Fox. He's just going to lay it on him, drive around the outside. What a power move for the driver of the Napa. Salute the troops. Auto Parts Chevrolet. He's going to take the lead here, and the checker flag going to be displayed through turns 3 and 4 here. I believe we'll see the yellow lights come on here when Randall Fox crosses the start-finish line, but that was a very impressive move, Brian. That's not every day you see somebody just drive around somebody like they were standing still.
Oh, absolutely, and he has the advantage that he had the fresh tires and was able to do that so easily. And actually, if I'm being told now that we were a little bit ahead of ourselves, they just took the white flag that time by. But either way, that was a very impressive drive for Randall Fox. And as he comes off turn 4 here one more time, he's going to win segment 3. There's going to be a little bit of a battle for second place. Here comes the 77. Almost gets Shannon Segler at the stripe, but it looks like Corey Bunch is not going to get it. And the caution flag has officially been waved. We have seen the conclusion of our second segment here. Very impressive run for the 24 of Randall Fox.
And that was indeed the finish of segment number 2, the longest segment of the night. We had 30 laps, then 40 in segment 2, and I believe it will be 20 laps for segment number 3. No tires will be permitted to be changed until the end of segment 3, if I do read the rules correct. And Randall Fox, your winner of segment number 2. Yeah. And that means the 7 of Shannon Segler and the 24 of Randall Fox have won each of the first 2 segments. So Junior Motorsports making a clean sweep thus far. And you have to say, with Jeff Backey Jr. lingering right there, you have to wonder if it's going to be a Chevrolet All-Star party in Victory Lane here tonight.
I'll tell you what, that Ford Fusion right behind him, that 77 of Corey Bunch, is going to make it hard on him because he has, got the second newest tires in the field. The first newest is, of course, that 24 Randall Fox, but that Corey Bunch machine, he pitted just 1 lap before, so yep, they're letting them come in. Wow, let's see if they take tires here. And let's see if they take tires here, or they're just going to permit them to take fuel as they come down to their pit stalls. But that 24, he took advantage of it, working his way up through the field because he was running about 3rd or 4th at the time when everybody pitted, so he still takes those new tires and runs with them, and he makes a good strategy call.
And I believe it will be a tire stop for everybody getting fresh Goodyear rubber. It looks like, yes, indeed, the jack stands going up on those machines. I'm actually kind of disappointed, Brian. I was kind of hoping to see how the tire strategy would play out through the next 20 laps, but and everybody took 4 tires, but it looks like it's going to be Shannon Segler going to beat everybody off of pit road. And we're going to give you the iRacing.com midway race break here in just a moment when everybody cycles back around here and give you the full field rundown. Just 11 cars on the lead lap, 12 still logged into the server, the 13 drivers that have started tonight's OCRL Sprint Cup Series All-Star Race, coming to you live from the Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, though, Justin. I was a little disappointed here. I actually thought that the rules were going to be that once the segment began, once the caution came out, these drivers were not going to be allowed to come to pit road until the beginning of segment 4. I think that would have made this thing a little bit more interesting, but, this is still going to be a lot of fun. All these guys on 4 tires here, this is going to make them really have to run hard here, and I don't know, it's just going to be interesting, but I would have liked to have seen these guys have to stay on the tires they were on from segment 2 all the way through segment 3. It really would have made that a challenge for some of these drivers, but this is still going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited for this next segment.
And as we get everybody cycled back around, we are halfway through our segments, and that means it's time for the midway race break. And again, as we cross the halfway point of tonight's race, let's take a look at the Midway Race Break, brought to you by iRacing, the world's premier online racing game with professionally organized racing from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, and more.
It's going to be Shannon Siegler out front in that Army Chevrolet. 24 Randall Fox is in second. He made a good run up on new tires, got to the lead, and now lost it during that round of pit stops, but he's still in a good position. The 77 of Corey Bunch also did a good job working his way up to third. The fourth place driver, 55 of Christopher Munger, ends up, he's just kind of sat holding station there around the top 5 the entire night. The 4 of Jeff Davis is running in 5th, and 6th is that 00 of Jesus Andrada.
Jeff Backey Jr. sits 7th after the conclusion of segment 2. Thomas Fredericks is 8th. Scott Ikes is 9th. He was the reason for our caution here, or the caution in the middle of segment 2, sitting back there in the 9th position right now. 10th goes to Thomas Morris. 11th, and the final car on the lead lap is Cody McCauley. 11 laps down is James Duke in the 18 machine. He sits 12th and out of the race after a little bit of an incident at the beginning of the first segment. Larry Scott Jr. will finish this 13-car field. And Justin, lights off on the pace car. We're going to get ready to get segment 3 kicked off here in just a moment. What do you expect to see out of these guys here in this next segment?
Well, last but not least, that has been your iRacing Midway Race Break. For more information on the wide variety of sim racing possibilities online, visit iRacing.com to sign up today. You can use the LSRTV promo code by entering PR-2016 LSRTV when you register for a new iRacing membership, and you will get the late model free of charge along with the 13 cars and the 14 tracks included with a first-time subscription. And sorry to do that to you a bit, Brian, here. The field getting ready to fire this off for segment number 3. 20 laps is the distance, and that will mean no more tires can be taken until the end of the segment. The American Childhood Cancer Organization pace car going to get to the safety of pit road. They roll to the American Ethanol restart zone, and the American Ethanol green flag back in the air. Shannon Siegler underway as they sail off towards turn number 1.
Segment 3 underway now here. The Shannon Siegler gets a good run down the back straightaway. It's going to be that 24 right in there behind him, trying to make a run at him. 2 teammates up front. The 55 of Christopher Munger is sitting in third. Ends up getting a good run on that 77 of Corey Bunch and got around him for that third position.
Yeah, Shannon Siegler up front here. The battle for the third spot, the 77 of Corey Bunch. He's working to the inside of the 55 of Christopher Munger. Bunch going to stick that Pennzoil Platinum Ford Fusion to the inside of the CM Landscaping Ford of Christopher Munger. He's going to slide up across the nose. That's going to open the opportunity for a crossover move by the 55 of Munger as they cross the start-finish line. And it's not going to happen as they have to settle for nose-to-tail top 5. All of nose-to-tail, and it looks like the 17 of Scott X. 00 Jose Andrade, I'm hearing a little bit of trouble. And again, a battle again, shaping up for that third spot. The 55 of Munger wants it back.
Yeah, the 55 of Munger is not giving up on the bottom of the racetrack as they work off turn 4. He's trying to make that inside line work, but the momentum off the high side is just going to carry that 77 of Corey Bunch all the way down the straightaway and almost clears him as they go off into turn 1. The 77 right up against the wall, running that Dale Jr. line, trying to make that work, and he again has the momentum down the back straightaway here, trying to clear the 55, just not quite able to do it. And here they go again, down into turns 3 and 4. Christopher Munger on the bottom, Corey Bunch on the outside, side by side, wheel to wheel as they work off turn 4, and they are still battling hard for this third position. The problem with all this is they're letting first and second get away. They've already fallen about 0.8 of a second behind, and now finally the 55 is able to clear the 77 of Corey Bunch, so that moves Christopher Munger into the third position.
Looks like it's going to be a battle for the top 4 here as those guys separated themselves by a whole second over the 88 of Jeff Backey Jr., who's all out by his lonesome. A battle shaping up for that 6th spot the last time through there. The 4 of Jeff Davis looks like he may have indeed got around the 33 of Thomas Fredericks. And yes, the Budweiser Chevrolet does indeed take that 6th spot. He's got his sights set on Backey, and it's a Chevrolet party to the top 5. It's 3 of the 5 spots being occupied by Chevrolets. Ford from about 6th on back, in exception to the 55 and the 77.
One thing to look forward to, lap 102, a completion of lap 102, that'll be the end of segment number 3, so that'll be the number to watch for. As these drivers, looks like we got a battle for that third spot still going on here, the 55 and the 77, trying to get a run on each other. The 77 right there tucked in behind them. Pennzoil Platinum Ford Fusion goes to the outside of the racetrack. 55 goes to the bottom to defend. He's going to cut down low going into turn number 3, trying to use that bottom side of the racetrack, trying to get that third spot as they're door-to-door, or fender-to-fender, really going off of turn number 4.
Going to try to take a wheel-to-wheel through the double dog legs here as they cross the start-finish line. It's going to be advantage to Munger. He's going to shut the door on Bunch. Bunch going to have to gather it back up and see if he can mount another charge to try to get around Munger. He's been very tough to pass as Munger just gets very, very loose off of turn number 2. Just looked like the back end of the car wanted to step out on him about 3 or 4 times there, Brian. That's got to be just a pressure-packed moment there, trying to hold off somebody, let alone having that race car try to come around on you.
That is one of the scariest feelings in the world when the back end of the car steps out. You do not want to do that, especially at 180, 185, 190 miles an hour. That is just an absolutely horrible feeling. And you saw him do an excellent job hanging onto that car, and he's still been battling with it, just a little bit loose off the corner, but keeping that car straight, which is very impressive to me. We do have a battle for the lead kind of starting to shape up here. Randall Fox has closed in right on the rear deck lid of Shannon Segler. As they cross the stripe, he's going to be about a half a car length off the back bumper of the number 7. They're both going to start moving up to that middle groove. I think Shannon knew that as Randall Fox got closer, he was going to run that outside line, and he decided to take that line away from him. That's going to make it very challenging for Randall to make that pass, because that's been the preferred groove that for him all night long, and now Shannon has seen that that's where he wants to be, so he's going to try to take that away from him, forcing the 24 to have to try something different. The 24 got tight off the corner, and that's going to open the door now for the 55, but the 55 had to go through the grass coming off turn 4, almost tried to make the infamous pass in the grass right there, but was not able to make it work as they now go through turns 1 and 2.
Man, you stole the words right out of my mouth with that one. Man, that was certainly going to be a pass through the grass there. Munger, he's not no slouch trying to race these guys. He's trying to stick his Ford up there, trying to work to the inside of Randall Fox. And if you're Shannon Segler in that U.S. Army Chevrolet, you're just loving this, because that's allowing these second, third, and fourth place drivers of Fox, Munger, and Bunch to really try to get all bottlenecked up there, and that's allowed him. He's already got a half second, and it was under 1/10 of a second there when the battle for the lead really started shaping up. So good on Segler for trying to do what he needed to do and try to drive his line and take it away from Fox there. But Bunch has got nowhere to go. He's trying to work the outside of Munger, but as we see that, he does indeed drive around Munger. I think Munger just got loose off of turn number 4. And Brian, I'm going to go back to you here for just a second. How much with this new aero package does somebody being on the outside of you really hurt that race car? Because it looks like it's just very much aero loose off the corner.
Yeah, it's very aero loose off the corner. It's more so aero loose when you have somebody tucked up right behind your rear bumper, because it takes the air off of that spoiler, which is already a little bit shorter than it was in the past, which takes a little bit of downforce off the rear of the car anyway. But when you take somebody and you get them right up on the rear bumper of your car, it takes the air off that spoiler, and it can really upset the handling of the car, especially in the middle of the corner or off the corner. That's where you really feel it the most. And now we have a little bit of a battle here once again for the second position. Corey Bunch on the bottom trying to take that position away. But yeah, when you have somebody tucked up right behind you, that is when the car is going to handle the absolute worst. As the 24 almost gets into the wall in the middle of 3 and 4, allows the 77 of Corey Bunch to really get a good run through the middle of the corner, almost takes that second position away, but they're allowing the 7 of Shannon Segler to get away. So these guys need to sort this out pretty soon if they want to have a chance. And the caution is out, so that changes everything. Remember, these guys are not going to be able to come to pit road. The 4 of Jeff Davis is around on the front stretch, so that's going to bring out a caution here in segment 3.
I tell you what, guys, that actually might end the segment, because we were scheduled to go to lap 102, and this is going to get pretty close. So we're either going to get a one-lap shootout, or we're going to get the end of segment number 3. Replay up on your screen. Looks like he just goes for a spin. Yeah, he just loses it coming off of turn number 4 and goes through a spin on the inside of the grass. I saw him earlier end up getting loose in turn number 1, and I saw him slow there. Didn't want to bring it up, but now I guess his tires were just kind of heated there and ended up losing it coming off of turn number 4.
One thing to keep in mind here is that you're not allowed to change tires here until after the segment, so that very well may be what we need to see, and it may possibly end up being a 2 lap dash there, Gabe. Shannon Segler, he's pretty much got this wrapped up, and as long as the bunch can give us a little bit better restart than what we've seen here in the last couple of attempts there, he may actually have something to say and split up the junior motorsport sweep. It was Shannon Segler won segment number 1, Randall Falks in third. He won segment 2. And as we get ready to go into the 10-lap final segment, it's going to be anybody's guess to see what's going to happen here as we come down into the waning stages of segment number 3. And again, segment number 4, a 10-lap dash. All laps must be underneath the American Ethanol green flag, Gabe. And again, if you're Segler, do you like where you sit as far as where you've pretty much been most of the race tonight?
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. These guys are going to race pretty hard in that final segment. I like that they have taken away any caution laps during the final segment. That's going to make these guys really have to work for it. And if we get a caution, the laps are not going to count. They have to run 10 complete laps under green. So that's going to make things very fun, especially with the tires. One thing I want to say about that final segment, these guys can come and get tires. They can choose to take 4 if they want, but they can also choose to take 2 if they want, which could change the entire complexion of this race. We might see some of these guys that haven't been up front try to take 2 tires and see if they can't steal the show here tonight, which could throw a wrench into everything. We've seen Shannon Segler pretty much dominate this race here tonight, but if somebody in the middle of the pack decides to take 2, or a couple of drivers take 2, that could completely change everything. So we could still have an exciting battle shaping up here in the closing stages of this race.
That, you know what, you really do bring up a good point, because it brings up the old adage, where are we at with this aerodynamic package? Is it going to be clean air is king, or is it going to be tires is king? And really, I think that's the $64,000 question, Brian. And and let me ask you, being a driver in a top series in iRacing, what would you do if you had the option of taking 2 if you were in the back, or if you were up front and taking 4? What would you be doing? Would you certainly consider taking 4 if you were in the back?
I think in this situation, because it's a non-points race, there's nothing on the line other than bragging rights. Take 2. Take the chance if you're in the back of the pack. The chances of you actually winning with 4 tires in the back are slim to none, because your guys up front, they're going to take 4 tires because they know that's what's going to work for them. But if you're a Thomas Fredericks or a Scott Ikes or Thomas Morris, you've been in the back most of the race, you have nothing to lose. You're not going to lose any points. You're not going to have any issues as far as your championship hopes are concerned. So take the 2 tires. If it doesn't work, it's one of those deals, and it happens. I would take 2 tires. I honestly think I would take two tires if I was the race leader, just because I know some guys behind me are going to, and I want to be ahead of them.
And we should see the lights off on the pace car this time around, and indeed, lights go off. We will have a green-white checker finish to segment number 2, or excuse me, number 3. As Shannon Segler tries to wrap up his second segment win of the night. Corey Bunch going to try to stop him from doing so. And if the Fords in the outside lane have anything to do with it, Gabe, this may be a rocket of a restart. You just have to time it just right.
Yeah, but I think that 24, the teammate to the number 7, he's going to have to kind of tuck up behind that 7 machine of Shannon and kind of keep that Ford Fusion on the outside from ducking to the bottom after the restart. So we should see the 24 and the 7 kind of work together, trying to keep that inside lane tucked up together, keep them from running on the bottom.
And as the field comes through turn 3 for the final time before we hit the green-white checker here in segment 3, we'll show you guys pit stops here while we step away at the end of the segment here to catch a breather before we bring in the exciting 10-lap dash to the finish. But again, the lights are off on the pace car, getting ready to come back down to pit road. And Shannon Segler going to have control as the field going to pass through the American Ethanol restart zone. The green flag going to be in the air, and Segler already on the loud pedal as the 24 Randall Falk's going to clear Bunch for second and try to bring along the teammate up into third. That's going to be Jeff Mackey Jr. going to go for a 2-for-1 in one corner. Munger's already dropped down to the inside. Mackey's just trying to hang tight there to the inside a Bunch. It's all Segler and all Falks in first and second, but third spot still up for grabs as the white flag going to be displayed this time for Shannon Segler out of top of turn 4.
As they work out of turn 4, Jeff Backey Jr. is going to clear that 77 machine. That's going to put Junior Motorsports 1-2-3 as they take the white flag. No competition for the race lead, but a nice little battle for 4th now as the 55 of Christopher Munger works under the 77 of Corey Bunch as they work down the back straightaway for the final time. Here comes Jeff Backey looking for 2nd as they go to turn 3.
Field coming into turn 3 for the final time here in segment number 3. Checker flag going to be in the air for Shannon Segler, but who's going to get the 2nd spot and who's going to get 4th for that matter? Backey going to clear Falks off of turn number 4. Checker flag waving. Shannon Segler wins segment number 3. Jeff Backey Jr. going to finish 2nd. Randall Falks 3rd. Christopher Munger 4th. Corey Bunch going to round out the top 5 here in segment 3. We're going to take this opportunity to step aside and catch a breather here before we bring you the all-important 10-lap dash for cash here in the OCRL Sprint Cup Series All-Star Race, coming to you live at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. You're watching LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
While lions are notorious for their voracious appetites, they spend a great deal of time feeding other creatures. In fact, lions will take great care to ensure there's plenty to go around. As you can see, they keep giving with utter ferocity. Bravo, lions, and bon appetit. Do good, be a lion.
Welcome back, everybody. Getting ready to roll off segment number 4 in the OCRL Sprint Cup Series All-Star Race, coming to you live from the Charlotte Motor Speedway. You're watching LSRTV, and my name is Justin Rose. Now, joining me in the broadcast booth is Brian Macklin and Gabe Wood. And Brian, we get ready to fire them off here. Field coming through 3 and 4. You can take us to the restart. The 33 of Thomas Fredericks took 2 tires, and everybody else took 4. I don't know about Thomas, but I think 4 is going to be king here in the final segment.
Most likely 4 will be king, but I like the risk that Thomas Fredericks is going to take as the Irishing Ford First Mustang comes to the safety of pit road. Green flag in the air, 10 laps to complete the All-Star race here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The 33 of Thomas Fredericks gets hard on the loud pedal and gets a big advantage as they work off into turn 1. He's got about a 3-car length advantage over the 7 and the 24. Here comes Randall Falks battling hard, trying to take the second position away. He's going to do it as they work off turn 2. He's clear of the 7 of Shannon Stegler. Now he's going to try to fend him off as they work down to turn 3. Here comes the 7 once again in 3 and 4, battling hard. They almost make contact. That's going to send the 24 up the track as they work through turns 4.
That's what Thomas Fredericks wants to see. 1 lap into the books already, and I believe that we're going to run to the completion of lap 118 or so on the board. And 33 up in the wall almost there. Yeah, he did get the wall. I see some damage on the right front. That's going to give the lead to Randall Falks. Shannon Segler second now. Everybody making a mad scramble around them from there on back. But the top 3, Falks, Segler, Munger, all single file. And Segler all over the back decklet of the 24 of Randall Falks as we getting ready to put another one down here. Falks trying to hold him off, but you're on board the 7, looking up at Randall, seeing what Segler can do with 24 Falks.
It's kind of weird what happened to the 33. Here he comes down to the bottom side of the racetrack. I was wondering what happened with that 33 because he just went up right at the racetrack. It looks like he didn't hit the wall. Turns out, yeah, it looks like we got a battle for the lead, and it is over. Oh, as soon as I say that, the 24 pulls a crossover, so this time by the stripe is going to be that 7 of Shannon Segler on the outside getting the lead, but that 24 fighting back to the bottom side. He's going to push up the racetrack just a little bit coming out of turn number 2. That's going to allow that 55 to get to his back bumper. Oh, he's going to turn him.
Trouble on the racetrack. The 55 down to the inside wall. We are under green still. Shannon Segler pretty much stole this one. He's running away with it. Randall Falks still going to be in second, but the gap's got to be somewhere around 2-3 seconds maybe. But the 55 of Munger, big trouble for him. That's not what he wanted to see. And Jeff Backey Jr. going to take the second spot. He's over 3/4 of a second back here. Man, you always have to wonder, was that the race basically?
At this point, you'd have to believe it unless we get a caution to bunch these guys back up. It looks like this is Shannon Segler's race to lose with almost a full second advantage over Jeff Backey Jr. They're going to take the stripe here. They're going to have 6 laps to go, and he now has still about an 8.5 of a second gap over Jeff Backey Jr. So barring a disaster for Shannon Segler, he's going to bring this thing home clean and green. He's starting to make up time, Jeff Backey Jr. is, but he doesn't have a lot of time left to do it. He's going to need a little bit of help in the form of a mistake by that 7, which we've watched this thing for about 2 hours now. We have not seen a single mistake out of that number 7 machine. He's done an excellent job all night, and as he crosses the stripe once again, about a 10th being knocked off by Jeff, so he's starting to inch his way up there, but he's still got a long ways to go.
Yes, he does. Shannon Segler won the All-Star race last year in 2015 for the OCRL. Can he make it 2 in a row? And time will only tell. Coming up around this time by, going to be 4 laps to go for your leader, Shannon Segler. Backey's trying to close in. He's got about a 10th knocked off, but the 17 of Scott X in that Crown Royal Ford, he's right there in 30s, creeping up on the back decklet of Jeff Backey Jr. And again, about another 10th knocked off of Shannon Segler's lead, but the X machine starting to fade a little bit, lost about a car length or so off of 4. But Backey's giving it all he's got. He's got that Mountain Dew Chevrolet wound up. Next time by, going to be 3 laps to go for your leader, Shannon Segler.
If he continues this pace, he's going to be about 2/10 away by the time the checkered flag waves on the segment number 4. It's going to be close here. Let's see what the gap is now this time by. It's going to be half a second, so yeah, it's coming down, but it's not. I don't think he's got time to do it, but you know, he may catch that draft and catch him by a little bit here. We've got 2 laps to go this time by.
They're working through turns 3 and 4, coming to 2 laps to go. Jeff Backey Jr. is trying to do everything he can to close the gap on Shannon Segler. He's starting to get a sniff of the draft off that 7 car, but I don't know if it's going to be enough as they cross the stripe. 2 laps to go. He's still half a second behind. He didn't pick up any time at all that last time by. So barring a disaster for the 7, it looks like Shannon Segler is going to come home with this thing. He's dominated all night long. Jeff Backey Jr. is trying to do everything he can, but it's not going to be enough as they come to turn 3 one more time. You're going to see the white flag displayed for our race leader, Shannon Segler, off turn 4. He's going to take the white flag. He's got 1 to go.
White flag in the air for your leader, Shannon Segler. Just 4 more corners is all he needs to repeat here in the All-Star race. He's going to put it right up the middle there through turns 1 and 2. Backey going to run the bottom. He's closing in, but he's not going to get there in time. Down the back straightaway they go. It's still a 1-2-3 party. Junior Motorsports 1-2. And through 3 and 4 for the final time. Shannon Segler going to see the sight that he wants to see. Once is good, but twice as nice. Shannon Segler will repeat here in the OCRL Sprint Cup Series All-Star race here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Shannon Segler has won 3 out of the 4 segments and does it in the Dash for Cash. Shannon Segler, that U.S. Army Chevrolet, going to get it done. Jeff Backey Jr. going to come home second. Scott Ickes going to come home third. Rounding out the top 5 will be the 77 of Corey Bunch and the 4 of Jeff Davis in the Budweiser Chevrolet. And that's going to do it for the race here. We're going to step aside and take a somewhat extended commercial break here. The drivers have to finish the remainder of the laps on the scoreboard for us to make the results official. So with that said, we're going to step aside and bring you the post-race show coming to you from the Charlotte Motor Speedway. This is the LSRTV broadcast crew, and we'll catch you on the flip side just after this commercial break. Welcome back to the LSRTV post-race show, coming to you live from the Charlotte Motor Speedway. And Shannon Segler taking home the checkered flag for the second year in a row. Jeff Backett Jr. finishing second, and Scott Ickes coming home in third. And we're just going to get right into it, folks. We're going to go right down to Gatorade Victory Lane. The driver of the U.S. Army Chevrolet, Shannon Segler. Got to be a good win for you, man. It's 2 in a row. You called it tonight. You said you was going to repeat. Tell us about that run. You won 3 out of the 4 segments.
Man, it's just an amazing car. I know we spent a lot of time on it Monday and Tuesday, or Sunday and Monday of this week, and kind of hit on something right off the bat. It's actually a version of last year's setup, just with small changes, and man, just really tickled it. It's pretty cool to be in that elite group of winning 2 in a row in the All-Star race.
Now, from the days that I remember running next to you or near you, Randall seemed to always get the better of both of us. When he got around you there on that final restart, were you thinking that it was Randall's race to win, or did you know you really had something for him, considering that he did indeed catch some damage there early in the race?
Well, that's one of the things that really helped me this week is, we would make 10-lap runs in our practice overs, me and him and the other guys. And, of course, he's the guy you got to beat, him and Larry Scott. But I was a little better, this week for whatever reason. I don't know if I just hit it and he didn't. He felt my set was too tight for him. And I don't know, it was just my week, I guess.
Looking forward to the remainder of the season. I know OCRL is not one of the series we carry every single night here on LSR TV. You look like you got yourself pretty close to locked into the chase, if not so already. Can you win the Cup Series title going forward? And seeing as how you won the All-Star race, are you going to shoot for a three-peat next year?
Yeah, I definitely will. And, we have Charlotte actually Thursday this week, and it's the second race of the chase. And got a really good shot if we cross our T's and dot our I's of coming out of there with a points lead. So we'll see how it goes.
Sponsors, shout-outs. Who's responsible for getting you down on Gatorade Victory Lane here tonight?
Well, there's several. First off, I want to thank JRM for the opportunity to run one of their cars this year. That was a big deal. I've never been with this group other than Randall, and it's a really good group. But also iTate Computers and Tech Service. Let's see, we got War Shocks and Coastal Mobile Marine. Those are the 3 people that make the wheels on the bus go round and round.
That's the driver who drove the number 7 U.S. Army Chevrolet to Victory Lane here tonight, Shannon Segler. Shannon, congratulations, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
Yes, sir. Thank you all for being here.
Going to send it down pit road at this time. Gabe Wood, you've caught up with the second-place finisher, Jeff Backett Jr.
Yeah, down here on pit road, driver of that 88 Mountain Dew Chevrolet. Jeff, I tell you what, with the 24 and the 55 getting together, that gave you the perfect opportunity to move into second. You almost got to the lead, but you couldn't quite get there toward the end. How does it feel to come close to an All-Star win?
Yeah, Charlotte has been a tough one for us. Up until last fall, we were able to win the 500 here, and we've had some pretty good runs in between there, and practice was good. Just I don't have that short run speed, man. The car was really, really good right about lap 10, 11, 12, and we tried a lot of different things to try to find that short run speed. Just couldn't do it. The car took off really good on hot tires. I didn't expect that. So I got a lot of optimism going into the 600 this week.
Yeah, this is pretty much a practice for the 13 guys that ran this race. You got to feel. Do you feel confident running the 600 like this, and the guys around you, or do you think the guys that did not run tonight, if they're going to be, you think they can catch you just a little bit, or do you think the 13 guys that ran the All-Star race tonight, can they be more dominant in the 600?
I think there's definitely an edge that the guys that run tonight have. The tire just the tire feels really weird here. It's almost like the air pressures are too high, but they're not, apparently, and it takes off. It's a strange tire. I haven't felt this kind of combination anywhere else in any of the other intermediate tracks, so we know what to expect. We ran in default weather tonight. We'll have the dynamic weather Thursday, so it's going to be it'll be back to almost an even playing field. But as far as tires and what does and does not work, I think we got a little bit of an edge. But the guys that weren't here tonight, there's a lot of good cars that didn't make it, so they'll be contending.
All right, Jeff, you got it home in second. Any teammates, any sponsors you want to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, absolutely. Shannon and his sponsors, I Take PC, U.S. Army, he put this thing on, was able to put forth the bill, and we really appreciate that. The league does, and what he's able to do for us and all of our partners. So I'm glad to see him win. Not only is he my teammate, but he's a good driver, good person. He deserves that. And our guys, entire JRM organization, we worked hard to get this stuff together. And the Pinnacle and Munger Motorsports group, the Fords that were there tonight, they were on their game. Looking forward to it.
All right, this driver of that 88, that's Jeff Backey Jr. And I believe, Brian, you've caught up with a driver who finished third. It's the 17 of Scott Hicks.
Yes, I have indeed. A very intriguing night for the number 17 here, Scott. At one point, you were around on the back straightaway, and you recovered from that to get a third-place finish. Take us through your evening and what a wild all-star race this was, and how you managed to come home with a third-place finish.
Yeah, we just kept trying different things all night, just to see what it would do to the car. I mean, once we were up front and we knew we had the car to compete, I figured we might as well try a few things, and didn't really work out since I wrecked. But, once we got around some traffic and we were in third there, I thought maybe we got a shot at Jeff and maybe Shannon, but I don't know if the track just tightened up or we just didn't adjust right, but that's all we could get tonight. So, but then again, I guess that's all I can ask for.
What are your thoughts on the way that the All-Star race was handled as far as the segments? This is a very intriguing event because it's an exhibition race, no points on the line, and this kind of leaves the admins with the ability to adjust the format as you've seen here tonight, and we see in the real-life Sprint All-Star race for the Sprint Cup Series. What did you think about the way the segments were laid out, and if you could do anything differently with it, what would you have changed to make this thing a little bit different or a little bit more interesting?
I don't know. I mean, the fourth segment seemed pretty good. One of the segments I would have liked to have taken tires considering I spun out. But, then again, we only had to do 5 laps, so just kind of limp it around until you get back to pit road. But, overall, it's pretty challenging, the whole format and what you got to do as a driver. You kind of get stuck with what you got, and you kind of have to run it. You don't get that opportunity to keep putting 4 tires on it. So I think it's pretty good. We'll see. This was a good test session for Thursday.
And of course, you're going to run another race here, an actual points race here in a week. How was this as far as a learning curve for you for the actual points race here at Charlotte next week? How do you feel about that, and do you think you have a shot to win that one as well?
I think we got a good chance if we can get into clean air. For some reason, just being behind cars doesn't fit the car very well, and if the top comes in, we might have a shot. But it seems like if we have to run the bottom and there's more cars on the bottom, then we might not have as great of an opportunity. But still a few more races to go for the end of the season, so can't get too riled up just yet. Try to hit your marks, do the best, put the best equipment that you can out there, and see where it places you at the end of the day.
All right, Scott. Well, we applaud you on your third place finish. Before we let you go, just want to give you an opportunity to say thank you to your sponsors and say hello to any friends or family that might be watching back at home. Who makes it happen for you on the number 17 machine?
Just thanks to Munger Motorsports, everybody in Ford camp, you guys, LSRTV, for putting this on. We don't get this opportunity many times to have a broadcast race, so it's always fun to get to show everybody what we do live on a week-to-week basis.
Well, thank you for that, and congratulations on your third place finish here tonight. Awesome job recovering from the spin on the back straightaway, and we look forward to seeing what you can do in the coming weeks.
Thanks, guys.
All right, that was the driver of the number 17, Scott Ikes, finishes third tonight here in the All-Star race at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. And I believe, Gabe, you have the full field rundown we're getting ready to go through. It was a very exciting race, and at the end of the day, we saw the man that was out front most all night long, Shannon, win the race.
Yep, 13 drivers took the green flag here tonight in segment 1, and one of them came out on top. It's that 7 of Scott Siegler. The 88 of Jeff Backey Jr. ends up coming home in second. The 17, we just talked to him, that Scott Ikes machine, that Crown Royal Ford Fusion. He did a good job coming up through the field from third, of course, after spinning. The 77 of Corey Bunch ends up coming home in fourth. Jeff Davis comes home with the top 5 in that Ford machine. The 24 of Randall Fox saw him run up front, ended up getting into the wall a little bit, ended up getting contact with the 55, who finished just below him, the Christian Munger machine. It looks like the 99 Thomas Morris comes home in 6th. 78 of Cody McCrawley comes home in 7th. The 33 of Thomas Fredericks comes home right behind him. The 55, I just talked about him, Christopher Munger. The 18 of James Dukes, the 00 of Jesus Andrade, and the 84 of Larry Scott ends up rounding out your 13-car field.
And for final thoughts on the evening, guys, I'm kind of disappointed we didn't get to show the first segment due to some strange technical difficulties that plagued us throughout the first segment. I thought the racing was a lot better than what I thought it was going to be. And credit to OCRL and the drivers in this league for putting on a whale of a show all night long. I thought the racing was as good, if not better, than some of the races we see throughout the week here on the LSRTV lineup.
Yeah, this was absolutely a very exciting race from start to finish. We saw a lot of action. I really enjoyed seeing that outside line really kind of come into play. We saw guys move up there throughout the race and try to make it work. Of course, we saw Randall Fox run up there most of the night. He was pretty much committed to that outside line from the drop of the green flag in segment 1, and he went to the bottom when he had to try to make passes, but for the most part he stayed up there, and that was really exciting to see. And I think that speaks a lot for the points race here next week. If the outside line really comes into play, you're going to see a lot of good racing in the points race here next week at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. So a very fun night. I enjoyed getting to be up here in the broadcast booth with you guys, and I'm sure the viewers at home got a pretty good show. That was a really good race these drivers put on for everybody.
Gabe, your final thoughts?
Yeah, I'm the same way with you, Justin. A second ago you talked about it's kind of unfortunate we didn't get to show segment 1 because that actually had some of the best racing. Had a 4-car battle between the 24, the 88, the 7. You know, we just had a lot of guys up there running up front, but they showed it in segments 2 through 4. They did a great job. I'm the same way with you. I did not expect the kind of racing. This has got to be the best racing with 13 cars I've ever seen, in broadcasting and driving. This is a great field we had tonight.
Without a doubt, and just want to say thanks to everybody back at the LSRTV shop, Evan Pasoko, Andy Kessler, and the guy who's pushing the buttons tonight, Cisco Scaramuza, and everybody else at LSRTV LLC, and on behalf of the broadcast team tonight, myself, Justin Rose, now Brian Macklin, and Gabe Wood. Want to remind everybody to join us. Tomorrow is the Alphalatech All-Star Race, and on Thursday will be the Domino's TYJ Dented Fenders Truck Series. Friday, you'll get a double take with the Ron Car Truck Series at Phoenix and the iSuper Speedway Racing League at Daytona for their finale for the iSuper Chase. And on Saturday will be the United Sim Racing Series at the Tricky Triangle at Pocono. And on Sunday, you'll get another double take, as well as the Dylan Brockwell Memorial Shootout will take place. And shortly after that, the Ascors Pro Geek Cup Series coming to you here on LSR TV, the voice of sim racing. And again, I want to remind fans, please keep it safe, and we'll catch you on the flip side. And again, we'll say goodnight to you from the Charlotte Motor Speedway.
This copyrighted broadcast is presented under the authority of LSRTV LLC and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations and may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form, nor the accounts and descriptions of this event disseminated in any way without the express written permission of Live Sim Racing TV. LSRTV would like to thank its loyal fans for their continued support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.